Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, HoneyBea. My name is Bea for those of you who may be here for the first time. I want to say welcome. And for those of you who are returning, thanks for coming back. In today's video, I will be doing another Sophisticated Crafts Designs tutorial. This one is for the Sophisticated Travel Belt. Now this pattern comes in two different methods. There's one for binding and there's one for birthing. This one here is the one for birthing. Now I'm going to go through all of the details to help you make this little belt. So even if you are a beginner or have been sewing little pouches, this is your next step. So I know you're going to want to make one. Now let me share some of the details of this little bag. In the main compartment, you have two slip pockets, or one, depending on if you want to divide it or not. Now on the top, there's an option for you to put a piece of elastic so that you can hide your zipper pull right in there. I thought that was a really cool idea. And the same for this zipper here as well, with that little piece of elastic. Now if you are going to be using a zipper pull that is chunky, you can omit that. You don't really need it, but I will be showing you how to do it just in case you want to use it. Now in the front zipper pocket, there are 4 card slots. Now we all like card slots, don't we? And then in the back, there is a slip pocket that has a side opening. Now I'm going to go ahead and I will share with you, like I said, all of the details and all the materials that I'm using to make this bag. I'm also using a domestic machine. For those of you out there who have been using a domestic machine to make your little bags, well, this tutorial is for you. Now you can see with the webbing, I closed it up using a rivet instead of sewing over it. Sewing over the webbing, okay? And that is because I was unsure that my machine would go through that. So you can determine for yourself, you know what your machine can do. So that option is there for you in case you feel that your machine will not go through it. Now I will be giving you tips along the way. I have one tester's tip, I have a couple of tips for myself, and one from Jassy as well. I know that all of you guys really like those tips. Now I've added a number of things in the description below. An affiliate link to where you can purchase your pattern if you haven't done so already. Jassy has given me that affiliate link and it helps me out to get the materials and everything that I need to make these tutorials for her. Also, there's something for you. It is a coupon code and you will see that right here, and it'll also be in the description below. Another thing in the description, you will find timestamps that go step by step. So if you get stuck on a portion in the pattern, you don't have to try and find it through the tutorial. You can just go in the description, find that step, and click on it and watch from there. Now I think that's everything. There's a lot of stuff in the description below. So if I've forgotten anything, I'll add it down there too. And if you don't see it there, just drop a question in the comments and I'll go ahead and answer that for you. One more thing, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Okay, let's get started. First of all, before we start sewing, I want to share with you all of my pieces that I've cut out. Now you want to be really careful when you're printing out your pattern pieces that you cut them at 100% or actual size. Also, you want to make sure that you have 14 pages and that all pages have printed out. So now I want to go over all of the pieces and the notions and everything that I have here so that you can see what materials I'm using for this little bag. So I have piece A, A1, and Z1. Z1 is my zipper and I have a zipper pull on it already. A is the exterior fabric. I'm using this quilting cotton fabric and I've backed it with SF101. And then I have a piece of water resistant canvas. Then I have piece A2, which is my card slot pockets, and I've already folded those up, but you can see that there. And I'm using water resistant canvas, and you're only going to be cutting out one of these. Then I have piece A3, which is my front panel, and it is the two sides, so you need to cut two of those. And I have cut them out of the quilting cotton and then back them with SF101. Now you will notice that they are cut just a little larger, and that is because when I go and sew all this, then I will be cutting it down. Then I have piece A5, which is going to be that top panel, and I've cut it out of the quilting cotton, backed it with SF101. And then I have piece A4, B, and B1 right here. So I'm going to be using the B and B1 out of pink water resistant canvas, and the A4 is out of white. So then I have piece B2, and this is going to be the mesh pocket. Now I'm not going to be using mesh fabric, but I will be using white water resistant fabric. And then I've folded a piece of binding off of the quilting cotton, and I will be using that for the top binding of that pocket. And you will also notice that it's this mesh pocket's already been cut down, and that's because this is the second time I am recording this video. So I had already cut it down, and then the recording messed up, so I had to take everything apart, and I'm starting over again. So that's why this has already been cut down, but it should look like this, okay, a rectangle. Then I have piece B3 and B4. Now this is our slip pocket, and I have quilting cotton backed with SF101, and then a piece of water resistant canvas. Now when you are cutting this out, you really want to make sure that they are mirrored together, okay? So when you are cutting your exterior, which is B3, you want to have your fabric right side up, your pattern piece right side up. And then when you cut out your lining piece, you want your fabric right side up, and your pattern piece, this, right side down, so that you will be able to put them right sides together to sew them, and this cutout here will be on the same side. Then I have Z, which is 1, and this is for my zipper tab. Okay, I have my webbing, I have my ladder buckle, I have my zipper for Z2, okay, I have my little piece of elastic that will go along here, and then it'll our zipper pull will tuck under there, okay. And I am using a 1/4 inch elastic because I have yards and yards and yards of this elastic from making masks, okay. So I had a bunch of that left over. And then I have a slider for my webbing. And then I have this little tag. It says, "You are the best." And I got this from Kylie in the Machine. Okay, so those are all my pieces. I will be using a Singer Heavy Duty 4452. Now I have put a brand new needle on my machine. I'm using a standard presser foot, and the thread I'm using is just a standard polyester sewing thread. Okay, so now that's all the stuff, so let's get started. Okay, now the first steps that we are going to be doing is our back panel, and that is steps number 1 through 4. And that is doing our mesh pocket. Okay, so let me show you what I did with the binding and how I did this. I cut a strip of fabric the length of my mesh pocket, and I folded it in half and then folded each side in on itself so that it would just be like a binding, okay? So now I want to top stitch this binding right on there. Okay. Now, if you want to put a tag in here, you can. Go ahead and put a tag in there. But I'm not going to put my tag here. I'm going to put my tag on the exterior because it's so tiny. I want to make sure that you're able to see it. So now I need to get piece B1. Now on piece B1, you will notice that there is a little red line here on both of these. So be sure to snip into your fabric for that measurement there. You can also find that measurement on step number 2. So you can see though that I've snipped into there, and that's right where our mesh pocket goes. So put it on that side. Do the same thing to this side. Okay, just like that. So now what I want to do is I want to find the center of this little thing and mark it. Okay, and here's my center line here. So with water resistant canvas, a lot of times you can just put a bend in it, but if you cannot see that bend, what you can do is use an air erase marker. Okay, so now we are going to split this in two. Let me put this over here. We're going to sew down this line here and then go back and sew going the other way. So now Jessie shares her tip in this portion to where she sews a V up here. Okay, I am just going to go ahead and sew 1 stitch forward, 2 stitches back, and then 1 stitch forward. So I'm back at that same exact line, just to the side of it, and now I'm going to sew going down. Just like that. Now I want to sew along the perimeter. Now you'll notice that my mesh pocket or my slip pocket is already cut down. Yours is going to be somewhat larger, so it might be easier for you to sew with the main inside lining going facing up, so that you can see the other side, or if you can see through your mesh pocket. Okay, so now this is where you will go ahead and cut down your mesh pocket or your fabric to match up to your main exterior fabric. So now our slip pocket is complete and we can set that aside. So now we are on step 3, which is our slip pocket. And so you're going to get both of your pieces and you are going to put them right sides together along your cut edge here. Okay, and now I'm going to sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now turn your slip pocket so that you have wrong sides facing each other, or wrong sides together. Okay, so now we can top stitch along this edge. And what I like to do is I like to put the edge of the fabric right along the center of my presser foot, and then move my needle either way to the left or to the right. Here I am moving my needle to the left, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew. And I'm going to make sure that the edge of my fabric is right in the slit there, or the center of my presser foot. Okay, so now we are on step number 4, and that is grabbing our lining and lining it up and stitching around the perimeter using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now my needle is still to the left, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this all the way around. So now we will be working on our front panel, and that is with piece A, which is our front panel pocket exterior, and you are going to put a logo tag right here if you have one. Okay, I do not have one, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that part. But if you have a logo tag, obviously you know how to attach it or how to place it on your fabric. So now I'm going to put that aside, and our next step now is our card slots. Okay, so here is our card slots, and you want to make sure, first of all, that you know which side is the top and which side is the bottom. Okay, so here's my top and here's my bottom. Now, Jessie gives you her own tip, and that is to clip into the sides here. Okay, so you are going to clip the red lines and the dashed lines. Okay, you're going to ignore this one here because that's where we put it together. So that's what I've done here. And so this is my bottom. I want to put at the clip, okay, I want to fold them so that they are wrong sides together to begin with. Then at the next clip, I want to bring that fold up to that clip, okay, and then put a clip there. Same thing with this one. Bring that fold up to that snip, okay, and that was folding it right sides together. Now I want to fold at the next clip. I want to fold it again wrong sides together. Then add my clip on both sides. And then the next one, the next clip, which is our last clip, now I want to fold it up so that it meets that clip right there. Okay, and do the same thing to this side. Okay, and so that's an easy way to do card slots. There's no measuring that is needed. So now you should have 2 folded slots right here. Okay, now I want to top stitch the top of my 2 slots at using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way and top stitch that one, again using my needle to the left. Now do the same thing to the next fold, making sure that you're only sewing through that fold. Now you want to take your cards and put them in there, okay, and make sure that they're both even on both sides, which they are. So now I want to divide these 2 pockets into 4. So I'm going to find my center. Right there, okay? And so there's my center point where I have folded it. just like that. So again, I'm top stitching or basting, so I'm going to put that in the center and just move my needle over to the left again. Doing the same thing on this side. Now really be careful that both of these are right where you want them and they do not move on you. Just like that. Okay, so now our card slot is done. Now I need to grab my zipper. And like I had mentioned at the beginning of this, I actually got pretty far and then realized my computer, I was having problems with the recording. So I had to take it apart, but I did not take the elastic apart. So I'll go ahead and just explain to you what I've done. So this is the zipper pocket, and that is steps 8 through 11. Now I am right-handed, so I want my zipper to close from the left to the right. Now if you are left-handed, you may want to have your zipper close from the right to the left. So that's up to you. But you have to make that choice now because you want to make sure that you put your elastic on the right side, or the correct side. For me, that is on the right side. So now, when this zipper closes, what that elastic is for is so that this can tuck up under there and hold that zipper pull there. Now on step 8, she gives you a measurement that you can measure away from the end to the edge of where your elastic is going to go. You are going to cut your elastic. I cut mine a little longer actually, and I singed the edges, basted it on both sides, just like that. And then I snipped my elastic so that it was flush with the zipper ends, and then treated it by singeing my edges again. Okay, so you can see there that my elastic is complete. Now I want to grab A and A1, and that is the exterior and the lining to my front zipper pocket. Now I want to put the lining aside for right now, and I want to work with my exterior. Now make sure if you are using a directional fabric that is going the right way. Now on step 9, she gives you a measurement from this edge to that measurement. Go ahead and mark that. I've marked it with an air erase marker. And now I want to place my zipper right sides together with my exterior. And I want to line up the outer edge of my elastic with that marking just right there. Okay? And then clip it. And then go all the way down. So now I want to baste this zipper onto here using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. So again, my needle is to the left. And now this is the picture that is shown on step 9. Okay. Now I want to grab my lining piece and I want to put it right sides together. Now I want to make sure that it is lined up, or I am clipping it right with the exterior. Clip across the top. And then sew it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now it is hard for me to get 1 full quarter over here because of the zipper teeth. So what you can do is put a zipper foot on here, or you can just ride the left side of your presser foot along the teeth of your zipper and move your needle to the left, or keep it there, as in our case. Okay, now I want to finger press so that their zipper is on one side and my 2 panels are with wrong sides together. Now in doing this, I like to add clips along the bottom so that when I'm pulling on this to top stitch across here, both pieces are being moved equally. Okay, so now I'm again going to ride my zipper teeth along the edge of my presser foot. So now I am going to move my needle to the center. Now I want to get piece A2, which is the card slots, and I want to put it so that it is right side up and the outer portion is right side up. So my two lining pieces are right sides together. And make sure that your card slots are going the right direction. So now I want to put this right side together, making sure that my lining is meeting right up, and clip it all the way around. Now I want to stitch around the perimeter using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. So again, I want to move my needle over to the left. And my zipper pull out of the way. So now when I have my pocket open, you should be able to see your card slots. Okay, and they should be going the right way. And then on the other side, you should just see your lining. So my pocket is correct. So now this is where we deviate from the other pattern, from the binding one. If you are using the birthing method, you are going to jump down to page 16, step number 27. If you are doing the binding one, you will continue in the instructions. But we are going to birth this bag, so I'm going to go over to step 27. Now I want to clip my zipper so this is all the same size. And I want to singe the edges. Now I want to get piece A3. And like I said, I cut the pieces a little bit longer just in case, because you never can really tell the distance with your how long your pocket will be because of the zipper seams. Okay, and so now what I want to do is I want to take this right sides together, and make sure if you're using a directional fabric that your sides are going in the correct direction. So now I want to sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to move my needle back to the center. And actually, I think it'll be easier to sew from this side. Now, before I go any further, I want to open up my pocket, and I want to get a card, and I want to put it in there to make sure that it is going to fit. Okay, because if it's not going to fit, you need to make this seam allowance smaller. And you can see that that card fit in there just right. So that's good. So now what I want to do is I want to push this out, finger press, and then top stitch it. Okay. So now I've moved my needle over to the right. Okay, now do the same thing to the other side. Now I'm ready for the top panel. But before I put on that top panel, I want to make sure that this is all one size. Okay, so that is all one length across the top. Now I want to get piece A5, and I want to make sure that it is going the right way. Let's see. Yeah, I think this will be good. Yeah. Okay, so now I want to put them right sides together. Okay. Clip across the top. And then sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so I'm going to move my needle back to the center. Okay, so now I want to finger press it in place. And then top stitch it across the top. So I'm going to move my needle to the right. Okay, so now that front panel looks really good. Everything lined up really well. So now we are on step 29. Okay, so now I have my zipper tab, and I want to take my tab and cut it in half so that it is in two. Okay, so now I want to get the right sides out. Fold them in half, fold the edges into the center, and now you can use double stick tape if your machine doesn't mind the double stick tape, but mine does not like the tape. So I'm just gonna put it on like that, and now do the same thing to the other one. Okay, so now I'm going to set those aside. So now I've got to get my zipper, and I want to cut it down to the exact length that is needed. And you will find this in your cut list of your pattern, and this is for zipper 2, okay, Z2. Okay, so I'm going to cut mine down. And don't forget to treat your edges because this is really important. And be careful. Okay, so now I want to get my zipper tabs, and I want to put them on the edge. Okay, and then clip them. Okay, so now I want to top stitch these tabs on. Okay, so let me move over a hair more. Right there. Now do the same thing to the other side. I want to cut the edges down. Let me get a better pair of scissors. Now I want to share a tester's tip with you. Now this tip is from Sam Harris, and the tip is for you to use here for your elastic, to use fold over elastic, or FOE. And the reason why she liked using the fold over elastic is because it comes in an array of colors. Whereas your basic elastic, like I'm using the 1/4 inch elastic, it comes in black, gray, white. It does come in a lot of colors, but not like the fold over elastics. You can even get them to where they have patterns on the elastic. And so that's the tip, to use fold over elastic, because there are so many options. So now on step number 29, she gives you a measurement that you will measure from the edge of your tab over to the edge of your elastic. So I'm going to go ahead and get that measurement. Okay, so now I want to place my elastic on the left side of that marking and tack it down. So I'm going to put my needle to the center, and then based on that elastic, using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Then do the same to the other side. And go ahead and treat your edges again. Now this elastic here is not necessary. So if you are using a chunky zipper pull, just omit this elastic here, okay? Now you don't necessarily need it, but it is a really nice addition. Okay, so now get your front panel back, and let's find the centers. And in finding the center, I want to, first of all, let me move the pull out of the way. I want to use these both edges here to find the center. Okay, to make sure that it is right in the middle, just like that. Now I want to do the same thing to my zipper, but I'm going to burn the center right there. Okay, now if you are not burning your center of your zipper, what you need to do is, if you snip it with any scissors or any kind of a snip into your zipper, you want to make sure that you burn it, because you want to make sure that that is not going to fray. Okay, or you can also use a piece of chalk. Okay, so now my zipper, I want it to close from left to right. This is my front panel, so I want to make sure that, let me get the other side, because the other side is the one that I want to use. Okay, so now I want my zipper to close from left to right. So I want it to be on there like this. Okay, so I've got to put it down and match those centers. And then clip it all the way across. And when you put it like this, you should have an equal distance from your tab to your end on both sides. Just like that. Okay, so now I know that that is in the center and it's good. Now I want to baste it using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. So again, I'm going to put it in the center and move my needle to the left. Now, if you are using a domestic machine like I am, when you go over these tabs, go very slow, because that's a thick area there. Okay, so now I want to place A4 and place it right sides together. Okay, and it looks like I grabbed the wrong piece. This should have been white here, and this, so that this could be pink. But I think I'm okay because my slip pocket is white and pink, so I can get away with that and be just fine. But anyways, okay, so let's get right sides together and put them right sides together across the top, and ignore all these little threads. Like I said, I had to take it apart to do it over again. I actually had to have someone come out and look at my computer because it just kept crashing on me with the video. Okay, so now I want to sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And now I really want to be careful with the accuracy of the 1/4 inch here seam allowance on both of my ends, because this seam right here at the ends will affect the outcome of the whole bag. Okay, so I want to make sure I get that 1/4 inch really accurate on both sides. So I'm going to put my needle back to the center. Move my zipper pull out of the way. Now my next step is to trim these down so that the both edges are correct or the same size. Now I want to turn it to the right side so that my lining and my exterior are wrong sides together. Okay. And again, I want to clip the bottom edges so that when I top stitch across here, both move in the same way. Okay. So let me get the edges as well, or the sides. So now when I top stitch this, I do not want to go all the way to the end. Okay, but I do want to make sure that that end is right with itself. So now I want to go from zipper tab to zipper tab. So I want to move my needle to the left and then top stitch. And again, before you get over here, make sure that this is lined up really well. And stop right at that tab. Okay, now we are ready for the final assembly. So now you want to get all three of your pieces, which is a slip pocket, the back exterior, and our front. Okay, so now I want to get my slip pocket, my back slip pocket, and I want to find the center and I want to line that center up right with the center of my zipper, and I want to make sure that they're right sides together, and then clip across the top. And now this is step number 33 that we're on right here. So now I want to baste using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. So now on step 34, we now get our mesh pocket and we put it right sides together with the other side of our zipper. Okay, again, matching up those centers across the top and clip them. And now this seam is going to be exactly like the other one, to where we really want to make sure that our 1/4 inch seam allowance here and here is accurate. Okay, so I'm going to move my needle back to the center. And then sew across. Be careful going over that tab, because that is a really thick part. And let that zipper pull out of the way. Okay, now I want to turn it out all over again. Clip the ends, because we are going to top stitch now the same way we did the other side, and that is tab to tab. Okay, now along this edge to top stitch this, it's going to be pretty thick, because we have the 2 pieces of fabric for our slip pocket, and then our exterior panel, and then all of the pieces for our slip pocket on the inside as well. So when you're top stitching across here, if you are using a domestic machine, go slow, okay? And make sure that here at the ends, your seams are really good, but you're going to start at the tab, okay? I'm going to move my needle to the left. And I just broke my needle. Okay, so this is going to be the thickest part right in here, and that's why she says to sew all the way to here and then back stitch and then sew from this way going here. And that's the reason why. It's because this is so thick here, right there. Okay, so now I'm going to put on a new needle, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now we will go from the other side. Okay, want to make sure that this edge is really good, and so we'll go from tab to tab. So now I want to move my needle over to the right, and again I want to go very slow. Okay, now you can see that I went really slow over that intersection right there, because I wanted to make sure that I caught Let me move this away so you can see what I'm talking about. I really wanted to make sure that I caught this here because this is going to be used to put in a phone or something in here. And if I did not do that really well, that could have over time started coming undone. Now, you could choose to put a rivet if you want to through there. Okay, at this point, just make sure you don't put it through the lining. But I think that that's okay because I went over it quite a few times. The body is complete. Okay, so you can see the tab is on there and it looks good. Okay, now in step 36, she tells you how you should cut your webbing. Okay, let me get my ladder buckle. Okay, so now I want to determine what is the top and which one is the bottom. This is the top, this is the bottom, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark with a silver pin on this side and mark with the silver pin on that side. Now what you can do is put a sticker, is what I usually do. But this goes on there like that. And now you can see I have that marking. The shorter side, let me put this aside real quick. The shorter side goes over here on this side, and the long webbing goes on this side over here. Now, in step number 36, she gives you a measurement, and you are going to measure from your point here down, okay? So I'm going to get that measurement and mark it using an air erase marker. Okay, I had to mark that again because the measurement is from this here down. I went from this seam here down, but it's supposed to be this one. So now I want to treat the ends of my tabs. Okay. And I want to place it below that there, but I want to make sure that all my lining and everything is out of the way. Okay, so my lining's out of the way. So I want to put this right there. The shorter one on this side. Okay, and the longer one on this side. Just like that. Now, if your webbing is directional, make sure that they are right sides together because this webbing is going to go out like this, okay? So you want this to be the wrong side that you're looking at on this side, okay? And the same thing with this one. Okay, so before I baste, I want to make sure that my linings are all out of the way, okay? Because I'm only going through that exterior. Okay. And I'll just put it in the center. Let me come to this side. So now I want to make sure on this side that it's only the exterior that I'm going through. Okay, so now I want to make sure my zipper is in the center, and I want to line up my exterior with my exterior, my lining with my lining. So you should have your two lining pieces together and your two exterior pieces together. Now I am actually going to put this inside this pocket so it's out of my way. Like that. And I'm going to clip it right here to the zipper so that it doesn't move on me. Okay, so now I have my exterior to exterior, lining to lining. Now, right here is where I was telling you how important that seam was. Well, this is why, because we have to butterfly this side seams, okay, both of them. So this one is open. Now let me flip it around and open this one. And I want to put the two seams right sides together, right on top of each other. Okay. And I want to get a pin, and I want to pin it this side. Okay. Then I want to get another pin, and I want to pin this side. Okay. So now when I open this up, they should be right on top of each other. Just like that. Okay, so now what I want to do is I am going to sew that seam first of all. Okay, I've got a hold of it. And this is pretty bulky, so be careful. Okay, and I want to sew it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to drop my needle, drop my edge. Okay, and now that my needle is down, I can remove that pin. Okay. Now, this is my tip, because before, when I was doing the pouches and making pouches, it never came out just perfect here. Okay, but since I do it this way, it comes out really good every time. Okay, so do the same thing on this side. Butterfly this seam open, butterfly this seam open, put them right sides together, pin them right where you want it. Okay, and then again do 1/4 inch seam allowance, dropping your needle, remove your pins. Okay, so now you have your seams right on top of each other. That looks good. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to match up the exterior to the exterior, and sew going all the way around the exterior, and I want to sew it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now I want to start right where I left off. Okay. I'm going to shorten my stitch length. So now I'm going to move over to address my lining. Now, my lining, I need to leave an opening at the bottom so that I can turn this out. We are almost done. Now, with this lining, I want to enlarge my seam allowance to 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so the exterior is 1/4 of an inch. Now my lining, I want to make it 3/8, I'm sorry, 3/8 of an inch. So I've got to go in further, right there. Then come on over to this side again, 3/8 of an inch. make sure that you're not messing with your tab. Okay, we are just about done. Okay, so let me move that back. I want to check everything. Okay, now everything looks good. Okay, so now I want to trim away my lining section, but I do not want to trim into where my opening is, because I'm going to need that to stay open so that when I turn the thing out. Okay, so that looks good. You can choose grade this seam if you want to, this exterior seam, but I think I'm okay. Just like that. Okay, so now we've left our zipper open. Now let's open it all the way and turn everything to the right side. Okay, I'm really happy with all of this. So now I've got to close out the inside of my lining. So let me pull this back over. Pull out my lining. And I'm realizing now that I forgot to use my little tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here. And it says, "You are the best." I really like this little tag. So I want to put it in there, but I want to make sure that you can read the whole thing. Let me make sure it's in there. Both sides. Okay. Okay, and it looks like I missed just a hair on this side, so let me just... I was so trying to make sure that I got that little tab in there. So it says, "You are the best." So there's the inside, our little tab, our slip pockets. Okay. Okay, so now let's go on to our next step, which is pretty much the last steps, doing the webbing. So now what I am going to do is I'm going to add the webbing on using rivets, because I don't know that my machine will sew through that many layers. But I will show you or explain how you will do it if you do have a machine that will sew through it. So I've got wrong side up, wrong side up. Put it through and then fold it back. Let me get a clip to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. So when I'm looking at it from the right side, I see the right side of my buckle and the right side of my webbing and the right side of my belt, okay? So that's correct. Now, the way she has it is you are to fold this down and then fold it down again and then sew through all of those layers. So now I've got to cut my holes for this, and I want to cut them through everything at the same time. So I'm moving my clips up as far as they go so that I can cut the holes down here. So now I'm going to get my marker and I want to make them as even as possible. Okay. And now again, if you're sewing, you're going to sew through this right here. Okay. That's one. That's two. Now I want to get a healthy amount of frayed check in this hole. And I know that's good because it came through on the other side as well. And put my rivets in. Now I just have to set them. Okay, just like that. Okay, and those are really on there good. Okay, so now that goes like that. I want to make sure that this side isn't twisted or anything. So now let's do our webbing, okay? This is my right side, so I want to get the end of the right side. So this is the right side. I want it to go up and over into my slider. So it looks like that. That's the right side of my webbing, the right side of my slider. Okay, and the other side looks like that. Okay, now I want to get the right side of my lock, and I want to bring it to the outside. Okay, and then down through the inside. Okay, just like that. And I want to make sure that it locks. Okay, you see that? So I know that that is the correct way. If yours does not lock, it might be different than mine, and you need to play with it a little bit. Try it and go in different ways, okay? So now I know that that's good. So let me make this a little longer. Give some space in here. Okay, now in step number 26, she has a really good picture of how you do this. In the middle picture, you'll see that it looks like this. Okay, the end. Then this bottom portion goes up in the middle and over on the other side of the slide, just like that. Okay, so that it looks like this. Okay, so now let me make this, give it more space. Okay, so now this right side has to be free. So we don't want to pin anything to this right side. But the two wrong sides, which are on the back side, that is the pieces that we want to connect to each other. So now let me make this a little shorter. Okay, and turn it so that I can work with it more. And first of all, I want to make sure that this isn't going to fray, which it is. So I really want to burn that really good. Okay. Okay, so now I want this. Let me do this again. Sorry this is taking so long. I just really want to make sure that I do this right. Okay, so the inside loops and the inside, this is my right side, the inside loops are what I want to attach to each other. So I want to fold this down, and I want to attach it to the inside. So see how these are the two inside loops and these are the two outside loops? So I want to attach it right there. Just like that. Okay, so now I want to get my marker, my silver marker, and I want to mark where I want my holes to be. Get my hole cutter. Be generous with the fray check. Okay. Get my rivets. Okay. Okay. Okay, set my rivets. So now, okay, so there is our belt, and I can make it smaller or larger, and it hooks up to itself. Okay, so here's the front, and here's the back. And I'm really happy that I used those rivets because I know that my machine would not have gone through that. So when you're looking at your rivets on the inside or the wrong side, you should see it like this. And on the right side, it should look like that. Okay? Wrong side, right side. Okay, I really hope that you will make one of these travel belts. It was really easy, and there are very few steps. And so if you've made a pouch before, this is your next step. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, until next time, bye.